Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Highlight, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, I welcome back to the Baseball Hut. Hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Let's beat the Phillies today, 6-5 in London to split the series, the 2-game series. And of course, thank God the Mets did not lose 3 games there in Philadelphia, against Philadelphia in London, because if that happened, I don't think the Mets have been able to get home. They wouldn't have been allowed to be able to get back in the country. But it was only 2 games. Whew, But the Mets played an interesting game. The concern to me, and I know we want to talk about the end of the game. Again, the concern is Jose Quintana. We only pitched 3 2/3 innings. And if you're going to win, if you're going to be a good team, you cannot. And that means you cannot have your starting pitcher basically not be able to show up and not be able to at least go 5-6 innings. And he's pitched terrible this year as opposed to last year. Last year he pitched so poorly in the second half, but he's pitched poorly all year. I wonder at some point the Mets will pull the plug on him, like they've done with a few of these other players the Mets have sort of sent off to the Phantom Zone. He might be the next one to go, especially with Christian Scott coming back. So we'll keep an eye on that. But obviously the big play in the game was in the 9th inning because the Mets were losing in this game. First of all, they were down 3-0 going into the 6th inning. They tied the game up. And J.D. Martinez had the big hit in the 6th inning, tied the game up. And then the Mets were losing to Daniel Nunez, gave up a home run. That bullpen wasn't too bad today. He only gave up the 2 runs, I think it was 3 runs. 2 runs. But the Daniel Nunez gave up a home run to, who did he give it up to? Just so I know. Oh, David Dahl. He struggled against lefty, so Mets are going to have to monitor him in terms of what's going on with the how he's used against lefties. But the Mets came back in the 9th inning. They took the lead. Obviously, they had some interesting big hits. Jeff McNeil had 2 hits in the game. He had a good game. Mark Vientos had a big hit in the game in that 9th inning. And they had some hit by pitches, but ultimately the Mets got 3 runs in the 9th inning. And then I guess the Phillies tried to come back, but that didn't happen. And obviously the game ended with the bases loaded with Drew Smith coming in, close the game out. A little ground ball in front of the plate. Luis Torrens, who has played great since he's gotten here. A real change over Omar Narvaez, who was a disaster here for 2 years. Went in front of the plate. Got the ball, stepped on home, and threw the first and got the runner out at first. Now, what's interesting about that play, that historically is the first time a double play has been started by the catcher to end the game. So think about that. In the 150-plus years of Major League Baseball or professional baseball, this is the first time a game ended on a catcher-initiated double play. That didn't go, I guess, to second base, throwing runners out. But it was a very great play. And it tells you how good he is defensively, how much better the Mets have been behind the plate defensively. Now, on Tuesday, the Mets are going to be bringing back Francisco Alvarez from his rehab. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Tomas Nido, who has played well as well. But Torrens is taking this whole situation by storm. He's played really well. Now, again, the Mets are 8 games under 500, and we're going to see what happens now. Steve Cohen had a lot to say today in London. Now, Mets owner Steve Cohen had a lot to say today because they had a little press conference before the game today in London, and he had a lot to say about the Mets, about the minor league system, about the fans. And I'm going to read you a couple of things, and hopefully you like this, and hit that subscribe button. So, here we go. This is from the New York Post. Steve Cohen says Mets fans have been through worse as he sees signs of a turnaround. Ain't that the truth? I never seen such a fan base so traumatized by players. So many people have written to me over the last 3 years, telling me how traumatized they've been by Dave Kingman and Bobby Bonilla. It's like those guys really got under their skin. But Steve Cohen spent the last week in the UK attending to business with his hedge fund. As the weekend arrived, the Mets owner celebrated the London series by becoming a local in the pub scene and mingling with the fans. And as badly as the season has unfolded for his underperforming team, Cohen said the Mets fan base has been through worse over the years. And that is true. Now, that could be taken any kind of way. That could be taken like a name, but you know what he means. Quote, the fans, they love the Mets, and they came all the way over here because they love the Mets and care about the Mets. And it's the same thing with you all and me. We want to talk about the Mets all the time. We see them win, and that's all the Mets does. And so if you're watching this video, you care about the Mets. Even if you think you're a so-called Met hater, you love the Mets. Come on. Cohen said Sunday before the Mets played the Phillies at London Stadium, quote, they are in good spirits. The fans have been through worse and trying to break that history. They are great. Certainly going to be here for the team. Yeah, we're not going anywhere. Some of these players will go, but we're not going anywhere. Never forget that. Cohen noted the fact that Mets began play 9 games below 500, but also were cognizant of the wild card race. On that front, Mets were only 4 games out of the playoff berth. Last season, the Mets dismantled after the All-Star break, unloading veteran stars, but talk of what might happen at the trade deadline this year will have to wait, according to Cohen. Quote, I'm focused on winning games right now, he said. We can worry about the trade deadline. That is 7 weeks away. That is 45 to 50 games. And a lot can happen. Isn't that true? Very much true. So the focus right now is on the season and winning games, and we'll worry about the trade deadline when the time comes. But Cohen acknowledged the goal should be more than just sneaking into the postseason. You certainly want to have high standards, he said. If you got into the playoffs and you are 4 games under 500, it's nice to make the playoffs and anything happen, you know that. But still, we would say, wow, that was not optimal. Probably not the way you would envision it, but a lot of games left. I think the team is starting to show signs. Well, we'll see. I would mention again, the first 2 months of this season was rough because the Mets got a very difficult start to their schedule. I thought the schedule was going to hit them very hard in April. It hit them very hard in May. And the schedule's starting to loosen up just a little bit. When the Mets come back on Tuesday, they would be playing the Marlins in a 3-game series at Citi Field, then the Padres. Stearns was hired at the end of last season after building perennial playoff teams in Milwaukee. The Mets' recent addition of backup catcher Luis Torrens for $100,000 was cited by Cohen as an example of the shrewd moves orchestrated by Cohen. The decision-making that is going on with the Mets is a lot sharper than it has been in the past. Much more concise, he said. Prime example is we bring in Luis Torrens, and he really helps us win a game. And when you are fighting for a playoff spot, winning 1 game or 2 games really matters. I like what I see. But unfortunately, it's going to take time. I mean, we know that. The Mets' attendance decline of 25% at Citi Field has been among MLB's steepest. Cohen acknowledged that is in the direct correlation to the manner in which the team has performed. Very true. Quote, it's about winning, Cohen said. Winning sells a lot, and frankly, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to do. New York City is a competitive marketplace. There's a lot to do in New York. And to get fans to come out to the stadium, you have to give them a good product and something to get excited about. We have been spotty about that. Well, one thing about this particular owner, he's been very honest with us over the 3-4 years he's owned the Mets. And that's the one thing we can say about him. He's been very honest. When he says the team has been bad, he has said they've been bad. But we know it's not just we know it. The first year was a very strange situation because the Mets had a couple injuries and they had a bad August. I was thinking about this today. The Mets have had bad months in the 4 years that Cohen has run the team. In 2021, the Mets had a dreadful August. It was just terrible. In 2022, they played 14-12 in September, which isn't below 500, but it wasn't what it was in terms of the sort of the level that we saw the other months. Last year was June. The Mets had that terrible June swoon. And now this month, or this past month in May, where the Mets went 9-19. The Mets go through these swings where they play well, they play average, and then they just bottom out for a month. I hope that they've bottomed out. That month of May was a disaster. I think we know that. Now, the competition is going to be tough. In a couple of weeks, the Mets are going to be playing the Yankees. The Yankees have been playing well, obviously, with that big superstar there in right field now. But the Mets, will see where they are. I don't want to have to destroy them. I don't want to have to say they're bad. I don't want to have to do that. I want the Mets to win. You want the Mets to win. Everybody wants the Mets to win. There's no reason for this team to be this sort of bad. There's no reason for it. But the farm system has needed a lot of work for a long time. And when you have this sort of influx of all these general managers coming in over the last 7 years, we have 7 general manager changes of whatever it is, 6 or whatever it is. You're going to have a difficult time having any kind of like player development philosophy that's consistent. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. What you think about the win today. What do you think about what Steve Cohen said today? We'll see where the Mets go from here. The next barometer is the 4th of July. Hoping the Mets can cut this. First thing the Mets have to do is get back to 500. And now 8 games under 500 again. They should play better against the Marlins, although they've struggled against the Marlins at times. And they played terrible. Keep our fingers crossed like we always do. And hopefully the Mets will straighten things out. And of course, thank you for watching this video. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you later.